telling an alcoholic that he's an alcoholic and convincing him is very hard work. Most of them, they just can't admit that they're an alcoholic. Only a few portions see their error and then they try to correct it, and some of them just don't care and they go with it. But if you sit with an alcoholic, despite how long you sit with them, the ones that saying, "Oh, I'm not an alcoholic," they have no problem pointing other people's mistakes and saying, "You see, he's an alcoholic. This person's an alcoholic. I'm just a functional drunk." So it's easy to point out the issues with everybody else, but sometimes it's hard to reflect upon yourself to see if that issue is affecting you. And just like how you could tell people they have issues, you yourself don't listen that when people come to you and say your issues. I'm about to show you a clip, and mind you, I want to say this right from the get-go. I have absolutely nothing against Farid Responds. I value the individual. I call him my brother, even though we never met, never talked. I still consider him like a brother to me, and I have absolutely no problem with him. I'm not exposing him. I'm not doing anything against Farid. Just to make this very clear, okay? I respect the man a lot. I know in Sunnism, you guys don't have the concepts of calling people scholars because only scholars live in governmental offices and they only say what they're told to say nowadays, or they're dead. Like they only become scholars after they're dead. When they're alive, you give them a rough time and you try to show them that they're a liar, and then you use them as proof after they're dead. But this is how scholarship works. But to me, I believe Farid Response is of a level of a person that I would consider as he's a scholar. He's someone who really knows his material. So with that said, I'm not going against him, but he did an excellent video on exposing this Murza Ghulam weirdo, Murza Ghulam Ahmed. And yeah, this is Ahmadiyyas. If you're watching, you guys got annihilated a few times, but I'm calling you an alcoholic, you don't listen. Farid called you an alcoholic, you don't listen. Well, if you don't know who the Ahmadiyyas is, about 100 years ago, some man came up in India. He said that he is a Messiah, a prophet, and Jesus all in one, fulfilling the prophecies that he was told about, and he still follows the Quran somehow. And then a whole people believed him, and now it's a movement that's going around because people love to associate things to God. So they're completely wrong. And now let me make something clear. Sunnis are closer. I'm not saying that they're at the truth or know the truth. They're closer to the truth than the other sects in Islam. So yes, they can bully the other people. Like the Shias, they make clear errors in some of the stuff, some of the sects of Shia. And then like, you know, the Ahmadiyyas is, you're done if you're Ahmadiyya, because the stuff that you're believing in is worse than the hadith of the Sunnis. So I'm just pointing out that, you know, Farid made an excellent point. First, he does have a video where he's dispelling it, just completely annihilating it, and you can see it on his channel. It's called Farid Responds. Farid Responds on YouTube, and he made the 10 failed prophecies of Mirza Ghulam weirdo, and he annihilates them, right? But of course, people, it takes a wise ear to understand what's being said. But he did, in an intelligent manner, make a small video trying to explain what moving the yard means, like moving the goalpost when it comes to making a prophecy. So with that said, let's watch this video together. It's a very short video. And then I want to, instead of like, you know, the Ahmadiyya is just a waste of time really to try to prove what they're doing wrong, because it's clear as the sun in the morning. But anyways, this is what Farid had to say, and it's an excellent presentation, but I would like it to be pointed back. I want to use this example, but with the hadith books. Again, this is not against Farid. I honestly, genuinely appreciate and respect this man, okay? Of course, we don't agree with things in theology, but his way is very genuine. His way, he inclines to the truth. He takes the time to understand the perspective of the person, and the way he presents himself is of a person of a scholarly value. So with that said, enjoy.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is the 11th of December 2022, and Morocco has just defeated Portugal at the quarterfinals of the World Cup. Imagine I said that I received a revelation that said that Morocco is going to win the World Cup this year. That is the prophecy, and you're watching Farid Responds. Well, unfortunately, Morocco lose to France, and they don't even make it to the finals, and people start coming up to me and saying, Farid, the prophecy had failed. And I respond by saying, wait, even though they did not win the tournament, but what they did win was the hearts of the people, so the prophecy did come to pass. Now, this is the sort of thing that you actually find Mirza Ghulam Ahmed doing. You see, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad used to make the claim that the revelations that he received from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are 100% correct. However, he would at times misinterpret the meaning of the revelation. And based on that, of course, he would make prophecies that would naturally fail. What Ahmadis need to be aware of is that a prophecy is the yardstick that determines whether someone is a prophet or not.
So that's the clip that I wanted. That's just part of the clip that I wanted to show. If you want to see the full clip, I'll have it down in the description when I put this video up. And at the same time, yeah. So, and he has another video of the 10 failed prophecies of Mirza Ghulam. You can check it out on his channel. But so he made something that is a very clear analogy analogy of a failed prophecy, which was reinterpreted, you know. And just to put things in perspective, the video, Farid uploaded this video in December 10th, 2020. So this is when Morocco did beat Portugal. And then he's like made the point of saying that there's a prophecy that they're going to win the full event, right? So they're going to go to the finals and win. But as he predicted in his video, France beats Morocco, right? So he changed the goalpost. At this point, he said that the prophecy was saying that no, it wasn't that they're going to win the World Cup. They're going to win the World Cup by winning the hearts of the people. So because they didn't win the World Cup, we had to keep the words as they are, but we had to just reinterpret it. And that's called moving the goalpost. Like, this was the goal. They're going to win the World Cup. Oh, they didn't win the World Cup. They did win the World Cup, but it was this goal. Is they're winning the hearts of people. So this is called a failed prophecy because prophecies is unequivocal. And as he said very clearly, this is the yardstick to measure a prophet. Now, remember, I'm not saying anything bad about Prophet Muhammad. I'm saying something bad about your hadith books. These books that I do not need in any way, shape, or form for you to understand the problems that you're causing against our prophet, my prophet. So I'm defending the prophet. I'm not going against the prophet. There's clear prophecies in the Quran that did come to light that does 100% prove that the prophet is a prophet. Chapter 30, Surah Al-Rum, when Romans have been defeated. After a few years, they're going to be victors. People didn't believe that the Romans would be victors, and yet they became victors, and it was clear prophecy at that point. And there's other prophecies in the Quran that did come to light, and there's obviously the day of judgment. When the day of judgment comes, you will see that, yes, Prophet Muhammad was promising you a prophecy at that point. But let's jump into the hadith, shall we? There is a hadith. It is in Sahih Muslim with a few narrations. And it's talking about the approach of the hour. This is such garbage. Anyways, Anas, one of the so-called companions, right, who transmitted a lot of hadith. That's the reason why I said so-called is just not for you to get riled up. I don't know. You don't know. Okay? Was he around the Prophet? Yes, but was he actually a companion? God knows what was in his heart. But anyways, a young boy for Mughayra bin Shu'bah, right, happened to pass by the Prophet. In English, they add the word holy, but it doesn't say a Nabi al-Muqaddas because, you know, truth doesn't matter. They just like to make the Prophet seem holy. Can I say the holy Jesus or the holy Moses? I wonder, the holy Messiah, would that work? I don't think that would work with you guys very well. So why do you say holy Prophet? Is he Muqaddas? Is he holy in that sense? No. So you shouldn't say holy Prophet because nobody ever says that in Arabic. And he was one of, so a young boy passed by the Prophet and he was one of my age, right? So a young boy, the same age of Anas, who's reporting this hadith, a child is telling you the hadith. Thereupon Allah's apostle said, so the Prophet said, if he lives long, he would not grow very old till the last hour would come to the old people of this generation. Clear prophecy. He's saying the last hour, and the reason why the last hour is capitalized, it is exactly what you think it is. It's the hour. It's the day of judgment, right? تقوم الساعة. The hour happens. So, with that said, this is clear indication of a prophecy. Clear indication that it failed. Clear indication the hour is not here, and they all died, including Harun bin Abdullah, the person who began this chain of nonsense in this variation, because of course you have many variations, because now we need to start moving the chopstick, the goalpost. So what we need to do first is let's see the other here it's the Prophet directly pointing out a kid and saying the hour is going to come before this kid grows up, if he grows up. Oh wait, I could see what you're answering because I know how you guys play your mental gymnastics in the hadith. Well, how do you know that the kid grew up? He said if the kid would grow, and then if he will not reach old age. So it's if, but the hour is not contingent on this child. The hour's time is known with God. This is the hour, nothing will change it. It's at a set time that it's going to occur. So it doesn't matter if the child was alive or not, or if the child made it or not. The truth is, the hour would come within this specific range that they assigned it. Okay, which the prophet prophesied. So it doesn't matter if the kid grew up or not. The prophet was alluding to a time range, which is before the end of this coming generation. Subhanallah. Wa'udhu billah. And then in a different narration, also in Sahih Muslim, from the same reference, except a different variation. Here, Anas bin Malik, a child at the time, remember this, a little child at the time with the memory of a child and the intelligence of the child, is the one who's telling you what happened when he was a child. Reported that a person asked Allah's apostle, when would the last hour come? Okay? Remember this. When would the last hour come? I'll keep this highlighted for us. Thereupon, Allah's messenger, peace be upon him, kept quiet for a while. So he had to think, because he's about to make a great prophecy, a failed prophecy in your book. And the prophet never said these words. This is clear blasphemy. Then looked at a young boy in his presence, belonging to the tribe of Shanwa'a. Yeah, Shanwa'a. I don't care about these names anyways. And he said, if this boy lives, he would not grow very old till the last hour would come to you. Anas said that this young boy was of our age during those days. Same thing, but here's the difference. In this hadith, the prophet randomly picks a boy, and he says the hour will come. Here, someone asked the prophet, okay, so when I tell you that the hadith contradicts the Quran, never would a what? Sahih contradiction, Sahih hadith contradict the Quran. Well, when would the last hour come? وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ السَّاعَةِ أَيَّانَ مُرْسَاهَا. They ask you about the hour. When will it take place? When will it come? Say. Who will say? The prophet says. This is the answer that the prophet would give. My prophet. Okay? Not the prophet that you have in your hadith. My prophet would say, its knowledge is only with my Lord. إِنَّمَا عِلْمُهَا عِنْدَ رَبِّي لَا يُجَلِّيهَا لِوَقْتِهَا إِلَّا هُ. Its knowledge is only with my Lord. None will reveal its time except Him. Okay? It is heavy in the heavens and on the earth. It will only come to you surprisingly, unexpectedly, right? إِن تَأْتِيَكُمْ إِلَّا بَغْتَةً. Surprise, right? They ask you as if you have concealed about it, right? قُلْ إِنَّمَا عِلْمُهَا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. So they ask you again, it seems like you're hiding. And do you know? No. Its knowledge is only with God. But most of the people do not know. That's the answer my prophet would give. What do you say the prophet said? Oh, you see that child over there, right? The hour will not come. The hour will come. If this child will grow to a certain age, he will not reach that age because the hour will come to you. I don't know the exact specific time of the hour, but I know the range. Well, that contradicts the Quran. And that was a clear failed prophecy. And here's the thing that makes me even laugh at you even more. It will only come to you surprisingly. This is the prophet telling people, you won't know when it comes. It's unexpected. Well, brothers and sisters, for you, the Sunnis and Shias, it isn't unexpected. Right now, it's not going to come surprisingly. Isa didn't come back. So there's no surprise right now. You can't be surprised. Of course, how can the hour occur if Mahdi and Isa and all this stuff that you guys like to say is going to occur didn't occur? So there's no surprise at this current time. But you know how it would be a surprise? If the hour came and Jesus didn't come back, and Jesus came back on the day of judgment, but he didn't come back on earth. Because nowhere in the Quran does it even allude for Jesus coming back on earth during the time. And I challenge anyone to bring me a verse to say this. But the Quran says it will come to you surprisingly. Well, why do you guys think that Jesus is coming back? Because it's in the hadith. And the Christians say that Jesus comes back. Do you know why? Because the Jews didn't accept the Messiah. And they said that we're going to have another Messiah. And we need these Christians to accept this Messiah, right? So they put it in their books after they corrupted their books. They couldn't touch the Quran. So they put it in the Hadith. And do you know what the Zionist movement is? The one that's occurring in Israel right now. The whole point of the Zionist movement is to pave the way for the Messiah. They are building a Messiah. Do you understand that concept now? For you to believe that he is the Messiah, they need to tell you of a coming Messiah. But in reality, the next time Jesus will talk is on a day of judgment. So this is why it's going to be surprisingly to you. Because maybe none of the stories that you're waiting for will happen and the hour occurs. Then the verse is true. The hour could have occurred when Prophet Muhammad was alive and no Mahdi and no Isa and none of this nonsense that you guys love to say would come. But you know what's the funny part is? You guys use this point with the Christians. So it's you calling the alcoholics, and you yourself can't realize you're an alcoholic making up nonsense. Don't you go to Christians and you tell them, hey, if Jesus is God, then he knows everything. And they'll say, well, yeah. Well, there's a verse in the Gospels you're holding that says that nobody knows the hour, not the son, not the prophet, not the messenger, and not the angels. Nobody knows the hour except God, right? They call him the Father. So if this is what you tell Christians as a proof, why don't you use the proof on yourself on your own hadith? I'm sorry, guys. This hadith is completely fake, completely lie. I don't care if you call it sahih, authentic, the best of the hadith. Because if someone asked my prophet, when would the last hour come? He would have got his answer from the Quran. I don't know when the hour comes. But there is another version of this. And here, first of all, he's talking about the name, the tribe of Azdi Shanwa'a, right? And then in this narration, which is the same narration, he's saying that it's from the people of the Ansar. And this is important. So now we're talking about the people who gave help and victor to the message of God and the messenger of God when the messenger needed help in his migration, when he went to Medina, right? Those are the Ansar, the ones that help the believers. They're believers that help believers. They're great people. They're talked about highly in the Quran. So they're great people. And the reason why I'm saying this is their kids and their seeds and everybody, they're ongoing. They haven't been removed. That seed has been going. Anas bin Malik is technically one of them. And his seeds and these people that you still say about the isnad is still going because from these generations of Ansar, that means they were not gone. They were not removed. But you have a different variation of these three ones. But now instead of Anas, the child at the time, we have Aisha, our mother, right? And she says that she reported that when the desert Arabs, now it's no more the tribes. Now, because if we can't say the tribes, you'll see why. So he says the desert Arabs came to Allah's messenger. They asked about the last hour. See how it's capitalized? Last hour, because it only means one thing. The last hour. As to when that would come. And he looked towards the youngest among them and said, if he lives, he would not grow very old, that he would find you would find your last hour coming to you. He would see you dying. Because here in Arabic it said, قامت عليكم ساعتكم, your hour, your destruction, your end, your death, your cut of the line. Because ساعتكم, we don't use it in this context. It means the end of you. He didn't say your death. He doesn't. But here's the funny part. The person is very clear talking. سألوه عن الساعة. متى الساعة? متى الساعة? When is the hour? Here the prophet would be being deceptive. Why? Because he has to be a clear messenger. They're asking about the hour, but he's talking about their death. He's talking about it, and he used the word hour, but he's talking about the death. This is what the Dajjal does. Dajjal doesn't lie to you directly. He's changing what he's changing the perspective of the talk, because you're asking a question and he's answering your question, but he means something else. So he deceived you in the answer. So he didn't lie, he just didn't answer your question. This is what the prophet did in here. They asked him about the hour and he talked about their hour, right? Your hour, your last hour. So you're dead. But okay, now it's desert Arabs, because if it was Ansar, right? They're still alive. Is this the same prophecy? One would think so, right? But if it's not, if it's two different prophecies, because now it's about desert Arabs, and it's because there's a contradiction in your hadith. Here it's desert Arabs, but here it's the Ansar, right? A person came, sorry, here. Yeah, so here he's pointing at the Ansar, and here it's the desert Arabs came, and then he pointed the youngest among them. So there's a clear contradiction, okay? And the problem is, if it is about the Ansar here, they're still alive. So this prophecy failed. And if it's two different prophecies, then that's two failed prophecies. Because here, desert Arabs, and it's not. But then there's a question if it is two different prophecies. Why is the prophet randomly picking at people and saying that they're going to live and they're not? Like, he doesn't know. You know, because when you're going to say that the prophet knows when people are going to die, there's many verses in the Quran. I'll show you one. Where this is chapter 21, 108. قُلْ إِنَّمَا يُوحَى إِلَيَّ إِنَّمَا إِلَهُكُمْ إِلَهٌ وَاحِدٌ. Say it is only inspired to me that your deity, your God, is one God, right? So will you be submitter? فَهَلْ أَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ فَإِن تَوَلُّوا فَقُلْ آذَنْتَكُمْ عَلَى سَوَاءٍ. But if they turn away, then I have announced to you with equality. وَإِنْ أَدْرِيَ أَقَرِيبٌ أَمْ بَعِيدٌ مَا تُوعَدُونَ. I do not know whether what you are promised is near or far. Sorry, it's the verse is cut here, but بَعِيدٌ مَا تُوعَدُونَ. If it's near or far. So he's saying, I don't know. I don't know if whatever you're being promised is close or far. I don't know, right? إِنَّهُ يَعْلَمُ الْجَهْرَ مِنَ الْقَوْلِ وَيَعْلَمُ مَا تَكْتُمُونَ. God knows what is declared of the word, and he knows what you conceal. He's saying, I don't know. And if I tell you God knows what like I'm concealing and what's the truth, so I'm not allowed to lie. He's saying, I can't lie because God would know if I'm lying. وَنَدْرِي لَعَلَّهُ فِتْنَةٌ لَكُمْ وَمَتَاعٌ إِلَى حِينٍ. For I do not know. Perhaps it is a trial for you, an enjoyment for a time. So when would you die? You don't. Prophet can't tell you. But here clearly in your books, Prophet is telling people that the hour is close. The hour is not your hour, their death. And here in a different variation, the hour is close. So, sorry, you Sunnis are an alcoholic. You're saying things about God that is not true. You're drunk. You're idolaters. You idolize these books, these garbages, and you're so scared to let them go. Because God said in the Quran, سَنُلْقِي فِي قُلُوبِ الَّذِينَ أَشْرَكُوا الرَّعْبَ بِمَا أَشْرَكُوا بِاللَّهِ. So, سَنُلْقِي فِي قُلُوبِ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. I don't have it memorized, but I'm telling you the context. If it's for you, if it's so important for you to have the correct words verbatim, right? Then let's go look it up. The context doesn't change of what I'm saying. But this is how you guys act. You look for the little details to say that this person is saying wrong. Imagine I'm a fasiq. Go look at it. Go look at what the verse says in chapter 3. We're going to throw the fear in the hearts of those people that associate to God what he didn't give authority to. And you're scared of your hadith. You have fear of your hadith. If you're going to go into the bathroom, you think about this stuff that they tell you. When you're going to eat, you're scared to break these rules that have absolutely nothing to do with reality. This is the problem with you guys don't see it. You put the prophet and his friends as the center of your religion instead of God. What point do you stop loving the prophet and you start loving God? Where do you draw that line? Where does it become celebrity worship and idolization? And where does it become following? You guys say a lot of nonsense. That is not the case. You say Prophet Muhammad is the best creature ever. Then why is the best creature ever told to follow somebody else? وَنَتَّبِعْ مِلَّةَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ. Follow the way of Abraham. If Prophet Muhammad is the best creature that ever lived, it would not make sense for him to be told to follow somebody else. That's like God saying to Adam to bow down to the angels when Adam is clearly a better product. It's not logical. You guys are acting like the Christians at this point. You're saying things that are not logical. And you just want to talk about Prophet Muhammad and the narrations all day. This is what ruined you. Because you guys just keep repeating these lies, these contradictions. And if someone asks you, are there contradictions in the hadith? Most of your students of knowledge, of course, Sahih Hadith would not contradict with the Quran. Then they're playing with the words. Because this is a Sahih from Sahih Muslim. And it clearly contradicts the Quran on multiple times, multiple ways, all narrations. Every single one of them is contradicting the Quran. But you will still find your idiots that would like to be defend this garbage. That's why we're done. That's why the Middle East is in the condition that it's in. Because you guys are liars. You guys follow lies. You've left the book of God. You've left the truth. Because when the truth is presented to you, you're not willing to leave the hadith. Just like how when you present the Christians the truth, they're not willing to stop worshiping Jesus because they don't care about the truth. They care about what they think, what they were told to believe. I know your questions that you're going to come to me. Well, how do you pray? How do you do this? That stuff is not in the Quran because you're putting the necessities on things that were not in the way that they were presented in the first place. It's not about adad al-rak'at. It's not about the structure. That is somebody who's whoever leading the prayer can do. It's very easy to have 1 rak'ah, 2 rak'ahs, and state the time period that God told you to pray. It's a time period. It's not the adad al-rak'at. This structure you did. But God talked about Christians and Jews and other religious groups that are going to heaven, right? They're going to heaven. They had to pray if they're going to heaven. They didn't pray like you because that's not what prayer is. You understand? A prayer is not about adad al-rak'at. It's not about what you're supposed to say. The Prophet didn't sit on his knees. The Prophet didn't sit on his knees in his prayer and say, oh, peace upon me. Salamu alayh. He didn't sit there and say, oh, God bless me like you blessed Abraham. You guys came up with those things. The Prophet wouldn't say, Sami Allahu liman hamida. God will listen to whoever says Alhamdulillah to him. You know why that's wrong? Sami Allahu li kulli shay. But oh, no, we don't mean that he heard or listened to those that say Alhamdulillah. It means he would answer to those that say Alhamdulillah. But then the word is not Sami at that point. Istajaba lillahu liman hamida. See what I'm saying? That's why your prayer is also doesn't make sense. Because the same people that gave you these garbages, right? Who's telling you that the Prophet is telling you when the last hour is, they're the same people that told you how to pray. And the Quran is giving you a different version. And again, I'm glad his picture came up. I swear I have nothing against this man. But yeah, he's spreading some of the falsehood that people are saying. And I hope he could see this video so maybe he would think. Maybe he would understand. And if he wants to be so quick to defend the hadith, then it's to him, between him and the day of judgment. You know, him and God at that point. Because we did our part. You guys come at us and attack us because we're calling out your lies. Just like how Christians attack you when you're calling them out their lies. I'm sorry, you Sunnis. You guys are drunk. You're drunk on idolization. You don't see it. It's very difficult to see. But when you realize that you are drunk on shirk, then you can wake up. Other than that, keep waiting for Jesus that's not coming back on the world. I'm sorry to break your bubble. The hour's coming unexpectedly, whether you like it or not.